Welcome back to this week's video interview on the Human Approach interview series. And this one's a little bit different. It's an extension now of what the series has been. We're doing Recruitment 101. It's a little bit of fun, and I've got a new guest on with me who actually hasn't been on to the show as of yet, but we met last April, I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah, last April, May, when we both joined a course together with Hoxo Media, wasn't it? So this is Philippa Smith, and she's got her own recruitment agency up north, aren't you? You're up north, yeah?
Well, I'm from up north, but I'm now down in London.
Ah, there you go. So she's from up north, which I think you can hear in the accent. But yeah, so this is Recruitment 101. We're trying to be a little bit fun. We're trying to have a little bit of fun with the recruitment industry, aren't we? We're talking about things that we would like to put in Room 101 that we do with recruitment. And specifically this week, we're going to chat about the hiring process with our clients, aren't we? But before we get into that, let's have a chat with Philippa about who she is and who her recruitment business are, because as a team, we think it's a really interesting business. Also because we're all fans of Below Deck. And every time I see one of your job adverts, I always think they could be on Below Deck. I'm going to hand over to you so that you can explain to the listeners actually what your business does.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me on. Yeah, my debut podcast. It's cool. Yeah, so name's Philippa. Yeah, I am from up north, but I've been down south now for 15, 20 years. Obviously, my friends up north think I'm dead posh now. So my agency's down in London Bridge, and we specialise in private domestic staffing. So basically, we recruit staff to work in rich people's homes. We recruit for private households, we recruit for palaces, we recruit for yachts and private jets and holiday residences, so luxury chalets and villas. So when you are ready for a butler or a chauffeur or security or a nanny, then that's the kind of thing that we do. And I suppose, yes, I think a lot of people find it quite unique what we do, but it is there's lots of rich people in the world. It's a very saturated market. There's lots of us doing this. We obviously do.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Oh, of course you do. Of course you do.
We show them how it's done.
Definitely. But before I met you last year, I never even thought it was a market, which is foolish, really, given that we work in recruitment and there's a market for everything in recruitment, isn't there? But I just didn't. Yeah, I never expected it to be a job that a recruiter would be doing. You know, which I just think is it's so interesting.
It's ever so private, you see. So like. It's really confidential. We sign a lot of NDAs. You get your D-list celebs that like to boast about their extravagant lifestyles, but to be fair, they're not really at the level of having teams of staff within their homes.
Right, okay.
The level of clientele we recruit for are incredibly discreet. We do work with famous people and stuff, but they're not really that famous. They're businessmen, they're CEOs, you know, they're royalty, and it's all very, very discreet, and it's all very private, and they don't want people knowing their wealth or how they live, and it's all sort of behind closed doors. So actually makes recruitment quite difficult because we can't disclose a huge amount at an early stage.
Oh, I can imagine that must be tough.
When we recruit for the Middle East, I can't even tell them what country they're working in. I can't tell them who they're working for. I can't tell them anything until we sign an offer letter, and even then, they often have to arrive at the property and then do a medical and sign more NDAs, and then they will be informed who they're working for.
Wow, that is that's a different way of recruiting.
Yeah,
whole different experience to what we see here within our sectors. But no, I do. I think it's so interesting, so different. You know,
I do still think that the hiring process is the same.
Oh yes, yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah,
are the same, and it's not even something. A lot of the things I get frustrated for in the hiring process with clients, I'm frustrated for them because I want to say to them, you would your life would be easier if X, Y, Z. You would get better staff if you did X, Y, Z. Like, you're making this difficult for yourself.
Yes,
as we sort of know, like educating clients, educating candidates is often quite difficult to do.
It's difficult, but it's a huge part of what we do, isn't it? You know, that's what you come to us for, that's what you're paying for, and that's what you're really seeking, because we are the experts in our field. And I know it sounds really cheesy, but it's true. You know, I I don't go into my accountants and ask them to produce a document for me and then disagree with it because they are the expert and I'm not.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
So I guess that brings us on to the topic then. So
Yeah.
Recruitment 101.
Yeah.
Philippa's gonna shout out some of her frustrations. We're gonna have a bit of a debate.
Yeah.
We're gonna put them in the bin or not. So what's your first one? Let's shoot. Go on, dive in.
Okay, so my first one, and this is my biggest one, I don't understand why a client wants to use multiple agencies at any one time, because I think, in my mind, clients use lots of agencies thinking that they will get a better service if we are in competition with each other. They could not be that could not be further from the truth.
You're absolutely right. Or they think that they're going to get more candidates, which is so far from the truth.
So far from the truth. So, like, when I am working, we only work exclusively now, so it doesn't really happen. And I would rather walk away from a vacancy than spend 2 months doing it, probably never speak to the client, never get feedback on CVs, never get an interview, don't make a placement.
Yeah, I agree.
But before I made this decision, which is quite a bold one, not many agencies do this. I know I think it's important to you as well, but not many agencies do it. We would like have a client that would give us a vacancy and they would tell us that there's 6 other agencies working on it. And I've never cared less about a vacancy, knowing there's 6 other vacancies on other agencies on it.
Yeah.
It's so low on my priority list. They have no idea.
And it's okay for that. And I've actually had that discussion with a client at the back end of last year and just said, if I am working competitively, you're not the top of my priority list. And I'm not trying to be rude, but I have to prioritise our time.
Yeah.
It's important, and we can't give you the best service if we know that we're out there competing with candidates, clients, agencies treading on our candidate shoes, And
the issue I have with it is, I think for a client to get the best service, it's all about the strength of our relationship.
Absolutely.
And if we have a really strong relationship and we have time for each other and we can discuss things in detail, we can present CVs, we get good feedback on CVs, we make progress, we get more CVs. If that relationship is really strong and we've got time for each other, you will ultimately have a successful placement. But
absolutely.
The clients have got, 5+ agencies, they haven't got the time to give the recruiter the time that we need. So ultimately, I feel that knowing you've got lots of agencies immediately says to me, you're not going to be able to answer the phone when I need to talk to you. You're going to basically fob me off and just wait for CVs. And if I haven't got that relationship with you, we're not going to be able to do our job properly. You're therefore going to get a really shoddy service from us. And ultimately, clients, I think, that have multiple agencies, if they're paying full fee, they're being ripped off.
Absolutely.
Because they're not getting a good service from any of those recruiters. They're getting a half-assed attempt at guessing what they want because the relationship's not there.
Yeah.
They're flinging CVs. You're not getting loads of CVs, you're getting the same CVs.
Exactly.
And then it's a case of fastest finger first. So if I'm working with multiple agencies, I'm thinking, right, I've got 6 hours to go over CVs. I'm basically flogging a load of crap over at my client in the hope that something sticks because I know they haven't got time to talk to me today. But if I wait to talk to them, then I won't be the fastest agency to send a CV.
Exactly.
So what I want to say to clients is you are being ripped off if you're paying full fee and you've got multiple agents because you've got a number of agencies that don't care about your vacancy.
You're not getting the service you deserve.
You're not getting
the fee that you pay.
You're getting an absolute crap service. The only times I've lost sleep as a recruiter when I'm working roles is when I am working exclusively and I haven't got any CVs. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's then that you will see me go above and beyond for my client. I will work evenings. I will interview a candidate on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see me doing this with a
competitive vacancy. No.
With agencies, I'd be like, what's the point? What's the point in me taking 30 roles, all poor roles because they're all with multiple agencies? I've not spoken to the clients. And I'm just sat there churning out CVs. It's literally a CV referral service you're paying for rather than a consultant consulting service.
You're so right. I think we could talk about this for hours.
I'd rather have 5 roles that I know I'm going to fill, then I'll care, and you'll get the absolute best of me, than 20 roles that I might fill, and then I literally will not give it a second thought.
Because, you know, the realistic approach there is that they're not going to get the time, like you said. So a client's not going to get the time to actually speak to all those recruiters to give them all the information they need. They're not going to get the time to actually review each process with them. So you give them a short list, you review the candidates, this is what you're missing, and then the time to debrief after each candidate and give the feedback, which is so important. So I'm with you, Philippa. That one's the bin. Yeah.
Recruitment 101, good.
Recruitment 101, we're done.
An agency, build a relationship, and then it's really easy. Because then all you've got to do, send me a WhatsApp on a Monday morning saying you've got a housekeeper. I will have you that role filled in probably 24 to 48 hours. You don't need, like, that is where your life's easy.
Exactly. That's where we make it easy. We save them time, we save them effort and energy. So that one's done. So what's next? Right then.
Oh, which one to pick? Which one to pick?
I know you've got a long list.
I've got a list. Let's go with don't try and negotiate the terms with your recruiter at the end of the recruitment process.
Oh, I took a big deep breath for this one then, because wow, this is a tough one.
If you want to negotiate your terms, firstly, why? Anyway, but if you want to negotiate your terms, do it before we start working together, because that's a respectful way.
Yes.
What's really disrespectful, I find, and it ends up, what's a shame when this happens, it ends up leaving a successful relationship on a bitter note.
Absolutely.
Because you approach us and you ask us how we work, and we tell you how we work, and we tell you what we charge, and you're very happy with it, and you sign the terms, and we get going, which is brilliant. And then we follow the process as we agreed.
Everyone's happy.
Everyone's happy, and at the end of it, you've got the perfect person for your role, and everyone's happy. And then you ruin it by saying, "Is there anything you can do on the fee?" What, the fee that you agreed? The fee that we've agreed.
Yeah.
And I just find it really offensive, and it wouldn't happen in any other industry. And I know people think, well, it's worth an ask and all the rest. Ask me at the beginning, because I've done the work based on knowing what I'm going to earn from it, and it wouldn't happen in any other industry. I would never go into a hairdresser, ask them how much my hair costs, get them to spend 3 hours on my hair, and then I go to pay, and I tell them I don't want to pay it.
Exactly.
And they get really worried. They're like, they're like, well, you know,
have I done something wrong?
Yeah, and they're like, no, I'm really happy with my hair. My hair's great. I just don't want to pay your full fee, even though I agreed with it 3 hours ago. Like, you just wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do it in a restaurant.
You wouldn't. You wouldn't do it in a restaurant. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't go into Starbucks and ask them to make you a coffee and a sandwich, and then eat it and think, actually, I don't want to pay £4 for this coffee. Can I pay £3.25? It wouldn't happen. I think we have to be respectful of the process, respectful of each other's businesses. Every business has a profit margin. Every business has a cost base, and let's agree to up front. We actually don't do any recruitment with a client unless everything's agreed up front. I kind of set that up as part of the process when we set up H2, because I fell into that trap before, and I think I've made it quite clear now, but I'm sure someone will try. They haven't as yet, but maybe they will after this video. So yeah, what's the benefit to the business? Everyone knows what they're dealing with.
And also bear in mind, no other industry does this either. Bear in mind, if you don't take that person, you don't actually pay us anything.
Exactly, unless they're on a retainer or it's...
And we don't often do retainers. So basically, I'm doing all of this for free. And then in the hope that you want them. And then when you do, that's brilliant. Then you're still trying to rip me off at the end. It's really harsh.
It is. It's very harsh.
It's really harsh.
For me, I think the biggest thing there, and I do take things personally like this, I still do, and I'm sure you do as well, because it's your business and it's something you're passionate about, but it devalues the process, doesn't it? It devalues the time. And you mentioned it in the last one that we were chatting. We go above and beyond for our clients. We'll be still chatting to people at 9:30 on a Friday evening. You know, we'll still be conversing with our candidates or clients over a weekend when we're meant to be spending time with our family. It's okay to go above and beyond, but only if it's on a mutual respect level.
We don't have it very often, actually, this one, but the last time I had it was when a client came and agreed all the terms, and we actually turned it around really quickly. Literally within 3 or 4 days, the whole process was done. Like, it was amazing.
I can imagine what's coming.
And his reasoning for wanting cheaper price was it only took you 4 days. And I was like, okay, so you're that impressed with how good we are that you don't think we're worth the fee. It should be offering me more money because I did it so quick.
I agree.
So would you rather it took me 2 months? Okay, fine. Okay, let's drag it out 2 months, then pay me full free.
We'll slow it down.
So it was because we did it so quick, and because he was so happy with how quickly we got it done, he should pay full fee.
But there's a saying out there, isn't there? I'm probably going to get it wrong because I'm trying to say it now under pressure, but you're paying me for my years and not the time it's taken me to support you. So any client...
my 20 years recruitment experience is what you pay me for. You're not paying me for 3 days.
Yeah,
exactly.
So that one's in the bin.
That's definitely in the bin.
It's in the bin. I can't even argue with you, Philippa. You're making it hard for me. I was hoping we might have had a bit of a, I don't agree with you, but I don't think it's going to happen. So what's next on the list?
It's going to be very convincing.
What's next?
And this one, we did touch on it earlier, but we are experts at what we do. So trust us, listen to us. So if you, when a client comes to us and says, I'm looking for a chef, and the other thing with our industry, it might not be applicable to other industries, but half of our challenge is finding someone with the skill set to do the job, but the other half is finding the right personality fit, because these people are going into people's homes. So it's actually more like a dating agency, really, I think, because you could put the best chef in the world would have a really successful career in one household, but would just not work in a different household. It takes, I think, another level of expertise from us to really know our candidates and say to our clients, I've got a chef that on paper you're not going to like, but trust me, I've been working with the chef for 10 years. You and him are going to get on. He is the perfect person for your home. Your kids are going to look up to him. I know what person works at home, what person doesn't. And then when a client says, nah, because I've seen the CV, no, listen to me. I know you. And so it does frustrate me when it is difficult when a client thinks they know what they want and you're trying to help them see that there are other ways of looking at it.
Yeah, of course it is.
And it's difficult.
That's difficult, but I think that's difficult because, rightly so, they believe they know exactly what they're after, but they're probably looking at it as a transaction, whereas we don't look at it as a transaction, do we? We're trying to fill a bigger picture, I think. They need an ex-chef that can deliver that type of food. We have to think about the bigger picture, because ultimately, if the personality doesn't fit on day one, they're gone. Aren't they? They're gone. And I think so many clients don't. There's a lot of clients out there that definitely partner with us in the right way in terms of the expert, and we'll give them the guidance back. And I think I put a post on LinkedIn about it actually in the last few days that, as an expert in my field, because I've developed this knowledge over 15 years, if I see something wrong in your process, I'm going to guide you and I'm going to advise you. The same with a candidate. I think that's the difficulty in our industry. Some people think they know better than us, but actually they're coming to us because, like you said, Philippa, we are the trusted person, the expert in our field. We do this every day. We know what fits, especially with a client that you've got such a close relationship with.
Because we've got clients who will sort of say, you don't really get this in other industries, and it may seem illegal, but it's not illegal. But some people might think, we have households that say, typically, this type of person, this profile person, does well in our house. This kind of personality does well in our house. And they could be looking at 2 or 3 CVs, and they could want the most experience. And I could say to them, I know you want the most experience, but I've met all of these people, and I'm telling you, that person's going to clash with the last person I placed. That's not you. I'm telling you. This more junior person, although they're younger than you said you'd like, they will work for you on a long-term basis. At least interview them. Just at least meet them. I'm not asking you to hire them.
Yeah.
I'm asking you to meet with them. And what I find frustrating is them say, nah, I don't want to interview them because they're younger than 25 and we don't really like young people, blah, 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 blah. As if, like, we don't think it works in the house. And then they will interview the more experienced, they'll take the more experienced, the personalities will clash, and they'll leave within 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then we have to start all over again, and we've lost that other person. So, and again, it doesn't happen in any other field. You don't go to a doctor and say, I've got earache, and they say, you've got an ear infection, you need these drugs, and you say, nah, I don't think I've got an ear infection, I think I've got a toothache, I want these drugs. Like, you would never question a doctor, you'd never question a lawyer. Like, you're going to them because they know stuff that you don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't really work. So, and again, it's purely, we only do it to help them.
Of course.
I think people think recruiters are in it to make a quick buck, and it's not. If I want to make a quick buck, I'd flog anybody to anyone. But like, I want
it's not that at all, is it?
No, I want a long relationship. I want you to have a successful placement, and I'm putting my neck on the line and disagreeing with you.
That's it. You know, putting your neck on the line. It's something I did it a couple of weeks ago with a candidate, and Katie actually did it this week, and we put our neck on the line about a candidate that the businesses weren't looking to take forward because of how the CV potentially read, or there wasn't something there that we're looking for. And we all know, don't we, Philippa, that the CV doesn't tell everything.
No.
That's what we do. We go to the effort, the hours, the meetings, the conversations to make sure we piece that together. And by then questioning what we're doing, whether they think it's because we're just trying to get the candidate through the process. No, we think we're doing right. We're actually trying to help you. It's all about help and guidance and support. So I agree with you. I think this one definitely has to go in the bin. I really would wish that, you know, clients coming to you, they actually listen and appreciate the feedback. Constructive feedback is a tough one to give to a client in a process. You have to be a strong recruiter. And I think that's where sometimes recruiters let themselves down, is they actually don't, they're not strong enough to actually give that honest feedback and say, you've got it wrong. You've got it wrong. And again, in
our sector, it's really difficult because we're dealing with like ultra high net worth individuals. Like we're dealing with some incredibly famous or incredibly successful, like they're very intimidating people.
I can imagine they don't like to be told that they could be wrong as well.
Some little recruiter, but yeah, it's for their own, it's just for their own good. Like,
of course it is. Yeah,
it's just to like try and give, like, it's like, I know what you want, I'm giving you what you want, but so just at least interview them.
Yes.
When we do have lovely clients, and again, it all links back with the whole single agency thing, because it all builds around how good your relationship with your client is.
It all builds around trust and deepening.
All around trust. It's all about how well you know each other, how well you trust each other. And I've got clients now, I could call a client now and say, look, I know you're not recruiting, but I've just met a housekeeper, you're going to want an employer.
Absolutely.
And I've had clients saying, cool, send it this afternoon, I'll meet her. It wasn't even a vacancy. Like, that's the level of relationship you want. Not because we want an easy life, it's because I want to give you, I want to preempt, like, anticipate your needs before you even need them. And if I'm the most perfect person for your home, like, take them, rather than in 2 weeks' time asking me for a housekeeper. And
exactly, and then they've gone. And someone else is, I agree with you, they are the best relationships. It's deepening that level of understanding, isn't it? And being in a situation where you can do that, pick up the phone, I've come across a candidate, awesome, perfect fit for your business. You can't walk away from them. And the good clients are the ones that actually respond to that well, you know, and are open to your kind of communication and to trusting you. I think that's great. Shall we do one more?
Go on then.
One more, go on. You've got a list, I know you have. So let's throw one more in, because this is good stuff.
Let's do, because a lot of them all sort of link. Let's do, don't cancel things last minute, or don't change things last minute, because ultimately when you have an interview booked in, that, like, this is a big deal for candidates in this market.
Especially now,
and like agencies that don't, like, in my business, our candidates are by far the most important thing to us.
Absolutely.
Like, because they will if you look after your candidates, they will look after your clients, you know? And we need to support our candidates. And again, I don't know if this happens in the commercial world, but again, when our type of clients, they're very used to changing their plans last minute.
Yeah.
And picking people, dropping people, like it doesn't really, it's not a big deal to them. Like a interview with a housekeeper is so not important on their radar at all. But it is to the candidate.
Yeah.
And when this candidate's had this interview and they've flown in from a different country for this interview, and then you cancel it half an hour before, like
it's a huge no-no, isn't
awful. It? It's so unfair because you're basically valuing your time. You're
more
making out
than theirs.
More than theirs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't look down on other humans like that. It's so rude.
Well, you've said the word there, and it's kind of part of our branding, but there's nothing human in that approach at all, is there? You know, and you know what it's like now, more so than ever. Candidates on the job market, it's been a tough 12, 18 months for people seeking jobs. And, you know, we have experienced a couple of clients that have gone through the process and they've interviewed the first candidate, they've got another 2 booked in, and she's the one, or he's the one, and there's no point seeing the others because I just think we've got it, we're right, you were right, that person is the one. And it's a really difficult thing to actually try and get across.
That's a difficult one.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because I'm so glad for them that actually they found their dream candidate, they've ticked all the boxes and they're thinking, yeah, this is the one. But actually, you just don't know. The other 2 candidates could be equally as strong, you know, and equally as valuable. See the process through. It's only a couple of other hours, isn't it?
Also with that, it's worth it because if, for example, you make an offer to this amazing person, they might not take it. B, they might drop out. They might start and it not work out. And you're going to wish you had backup people in the wings.
You're going to wish that you had it's all about that positive impression, isn't it? And if you pull out of a process and you stop the interviews, what you're going to have is you're going to end up re-recruiting that role at some point.
Yeah.
At some point, because everyone moves on, sadly, in their careers or situations change. Yeah. And you might end up being reintroduced to that candidate. That's the reality. You never know when your paths are going to cross again, do you?
Yeah.
And that's what I always say to candidates, even if they're leaving a job, you know, I always say, don't burn your bridges, because you never know when your paths might cross with that FD. And the same with you, with your households, you know, their locations will change, won't they? And people's locations change. I can imagine. Yeah, that's a tough one. It's got to go in room 101 though. It has to, because it's so wrong. It's so inhumane.
And also with it, like it pisses the recruiter, like it messes me a bit. But it's embarrassing to me because like that's not how we treat our candidates.
No.
And so like I'm going to be reluctant to work with you again if you have completely hashed up the interview process and you've embarrassed me and you've made us as an agency come across really badly in all of this. Because again, often the candidate, it will reflect badly on us as an agency in the way.
Of course it will.
And so like you're creating like issues with me and my candidate. So like I'm not going to be willing, I'm not going to be like biting my arm off to like come and recruit for
support you again. Yeah.
Tarnishing that relationship, and it's such a shame because we've got to interview stage. And then also like from a candidate point of view, you should be wanting to impress everybody. So like when I interview at Silver people to come to work for me, even people that I know I'm not going to hire, I want them to leave with a really good impression of my company, of the company.
Of course you do. Yeah, of course.
And I suppose some employers don't really sort of care about that, and they're like,
I think what it is they don't see the bigger picture. They don't actually think about the future. They're just in the here and now because they are so busy. And they need to resolve the problem they've got now. They're so happy that they've resolved it, you know, and cancelling interviews is a huge one, because even if something comes up in the diary, unless it's like, and this is quite a bold thing to say, but unless it's life or death, I think you just need to go through the process, because cancelling a process, well, it slows everything down, but it leaves a negative feeling, doesn't it? We're the ones that have to apologise, but actually it's not coming from us. We're unlikely to have given a real reason as to why we're having to cancel. And candidates just need the truth, don't they?
We've had situations before where, say it's a phone interview initially, and the client's meant to call the candidate at 10 a.m. The client at 5 to 10 says, can we push it back to 4? Fine, push it back to 4. 5 to 4, the client's like, nah, we're going to have to reschedule. 8 o'clock that night, the candidate gets a random phone call from the employer expecting to do an interview. And then the next day, the employee says to me, the candidate wasn't prepared. It's a no. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You're saying it's a no because you caught her off guard at 8 p.m. having cancelled twice.
Yeah.
And it's a no. And then the candidate is like, are you kidding me? And that's that. And the employer's like, no, I was really unimpressed.
I can imagine you actually saying, "Are you kidding me?" as well.
Are you kidding me? And then and that we do get that, because again, these employers, our employers, I don't think, when it comes to recruiting their household staff, don't see it as part of their work. They go to work and they've got this big and all the rest. It's something they do in their personal time.
Of course, yeah, it's different. Yeah,
we'll get candidates sort of turning up at weekends for interviews and stuff at the home and all the rest. And so they don't sort of treat the process as officially as they would if they were employing.
Perhaps if there was a HR manager doing it.
If they're employing staff for their office at their big hedge fund, the process would be treated very officially. But because it's just a chef for their weekend
in their house,
in their house, they don't treat it as a formal process. But the poor chef, again, like, who's put the whole weekend, and often chefs have to turn up, they have to cook. Like, there's a lot around this. Like, it's not just a case of, oh, can you come and do a roast on Saturday, not Sunday, not Saturday. The chef's like, well, no, I need to get a hotel. Like, that's a big thing. And then on Sunday they cancel it, and the chef's been hanging around in the Cotswolds all weekend, hoping his family, which never happens. And then the family will say, oh, let's do dinner on Tuesday night. And the chef's like, well, I'm busy. Oh, well, you can't come into me then. And the chef's like, are you kidding me? I've just spent £500 in hotels. And that's literally sometimes how the hiring process works in our industry.
Wow. And that makes me kind of glad that I'm not in your industry, because I don't know how I would cope. But it's so wrong, isn't it, on every level? But you know, so this is a piece of advice to our clients, because like I said right at the start, this isn't, you know, we're not being rude to our clients, we're not, you know, this isn't judgment, is it? We're, you know, we're trying to help people, aren't we, by giving this honest feedback that these are the things that frustrate recruiters, but also human beings in the process. Let's just be
literally, like, I want to sort of say to like clients, like, I want you to get the most value from us, and I want you to get the absolute best service from us or any other recruiter you're working with. And there are things that you can do that can really help, like, get value. Everybody wants good value for money, and that's what going with haggling fees late in the process. I know you want a deal, but this is how you get value. So the key takeaways from this, I would say, is pick 1 or 2 agencies and nurture that relationship and get to know your recruiter, and it will make your life easier. Give them the time, give them all the time in the world, give them all the information in the world, provide feedback on CVs, stick with your interview process unless you're dying, pay fairly. And everybody's happy, and then you will get the absolute, like, you'll be one of my favourite clients, and I'll look after you. Like, you should go above and beyond for you, and you'll get
and that's the reality, is people will go above and beyond. So I guess that's a nice little close. You did a lovely summary there, Philippa. Thank you. Saved me a job there. Well done. So that's our recruitment 101 of the hiring process with our clients.